guys, it's Selena and welcome back to my channel. I have missed you guys so much. We have so much to unpack today, so let's just get straight into it. I wanted to give you guys a little bit of a backstory before I get really deep into everything, because I'm sure a lot of you will be wondering why I'm bringing up all this stuff up now after all this time. So I am Chinese Cambodian, born and raised in Australia. In my culture and in my upbringing, I was always taught from a child, you always, obey and be a good girl, and you'd rather be like the quiet one in the room and not ruffle any feathers rather than being the loud one and speak your truth. Like, none of that is acceptable in our culture. You would rather play small than play big, so to speak. So, getting thrown into the MAFS world and then post-show, I didn't know how to navigate any of this. And, it's not something that I expected, honestly. Like, I was going on the show to find my soulmate. I didn't even think of all the stuff post-MAFS and the magnitude that would come out of all of the stuff that had happened. So, I looked up to a lot of people that I thought had my best interests at heart and would help guide me and navigate me through this crazy freaking world. And, a lot of the time I was being told to be silent, to not use certain words, and to not call out certain behavior. Because I quote, "It's to protect you, Selena. It's for your best interest." So that is why I have stayed silent about this whole thing this whole time. Again, I also wanted to be very respectful towards my relationship with Cody and the whole experience, because, it was a real relationship to me, despite what you guys see, you guys just see it as a show, but to me, it was a real relationship and real feelings and investment was involved in that. So, I wanted to not, and this video as well, full disclaimer, this isn't a smear campaign or any hate towards Cody at all. No, we haven't been in contact since. But, I don't want this to be a freaking witch hunt or anything towards Cody, but I also want to also share with you my side, an unedited, uncut version coming from my mouth of what actually happened, because I have been silenced for too long because I was not allowed to speak my side. And if I ever did, my story would always be cut and heavily edited to please the audience of whatever platform it was ever going to be on. You know what I mean? So everyone got like a half-assed story, and that it's not fair that everyone's placed their judgment on something that they haven't really gotten the full story of, right? This is why I'm bringing it up now. Also, because I was guided this whole time to hold out on speaking my truth about all of this stuff, because there was going to be an article presented after the dust has settled, and it was going to be a beautiful, impactful, powerful piece that was going to shine light and enlighten people on racism, prejudice, discrimination, and my personal experience with that, and to, also share with the lack of Asian representatives growing up and even still now in media, entertainment, and beauty. And, speak about all of this stuff rather than speak about this relationship and this breakup that I seriously just want to move on from and heal and let go. So that was the plan. So that's why I was told not to speak to any media, don't do any lives, MAFS, my breakup. Don't do any Q&A. So that's why this whole time I have not done one Q&A, because I've been holding out for this article to come out to do my story justice. So it was to my disappointment and to my shock to come on Thursday to see that this article has not done that at all. I was misled into thinking that this article was going to be this beautiful piece to speak about all the things that I've just mentioned before, and it wasn't. It was, I just have to also say, just quickly, I am so grateful. I'm not saying that I'm not grateful for the piece. I'm so grateful that I got the opportunity to do the piece. The hair and makeup team, the photographer, everyone that was on site on that shoot that day treated me like a freaking like queen, RIP the queen. And it was honestly a Cinderella moment, and the staff can all vouch for me that day that I actually cried after that shoot because I was so touched and happy and overwhelmed by the whole experience, because I'm not used to being the one that people fluff over. Like, I'm used to being the one that stands behind the chair, that does everyone else's hair. That's the backstage girl. So to me, to have this moment of people like doing my hair, making me feel special, was so like heartwarming and touching for me. So I actually cried because it was so like such a Cinderella moment to see myself on the big screen like I did. Anyway, so my issue isn't with them at all. Like, they did an incredible job. My issue is with the people that had anything to do with the written side of the article. It was not what was, promised to me at all. I feel, did really let down and disappointed and exploited pretty much. I was really raw and vulnerable. Like, I don't even know if you can tell, like, this stuff is really hard for me to speak about. Especially like with my upbringing, like told not to speak out on this stuff like this. Like, I'm literally shaking. So I hope people can be like, compassionate towards this and not throw any shade and hate towards me. Like, just keep your negative opinions to yourself. This, conversation went for 46 minutes. Normally these interviews only last for about 20 minutes max. This lady made me feel like we were best friends. She shared her personal experiences with heartache and told me about her ex, and how she was like, so shocked and proud that I haven't kept in touch with Cody and like haven't, gone back to a toxic relationship and recycled this pain that a lot of people, men or women go through. After a big breakup, you go back to your ex, and it's this ongoing toxic cycle. She's like, wow, I can't believe you haven't ever like contacted him again. Can you please give me advice and other women advice on how to, have that strength and that courage to move on from something like that? And so I thought all this conversation was like off the record. I'm here pouring my heart out to her because I wanted to help her as well as, woman to woman. So it was much to my disappointment when she used and spoke about this whole breakup in the article when it wasn't what it was meant to be about at all. And, also because she said, oh, I'm so glad to be doing this article for you because I'm of Italian descent, and growing up, I faced a lot of the things that you did as well as a child. So I'm like, I want to do this piece justice. And, and I was like, wow, yes, queen, like, she's speaking my language. She gets what I'm trying to do here, because I made it so clear this is not about, I don't want to talk about this whole MAFS drama and my relationship with Cody in a negative light. This is beyond that now, and I don't want it to be a smear campaign or any hate or anything towards Cody. This is not a witch hunt for him. I don't want him to be shown in a negative light in that way. To which she promised that, yep, no, it's not going to be about that at all. Obviously I know that my name is always going to be associated with MAFS in some way. I get that, but I didn't want it to be the heart and the guts of this article, to which she promised me was going to not be like. So after hours, weeks and months of therapy and me trying so hard to move on from all of this stuff and put it to rest, because of these people's careless actions for the sake of a story, I now have to open Pandora's box and rehash and go through and justify everything all over again. Thank you. So let's just get straight into it. I didn't want to bring this up, but because it's been brought to light now, I have to open up and speak about it. Because I've been silent for too bloody long, you know what I mean? Hopefully I would lead by example, and it will hopefully give the courage to others that have been in my shoes to open up and speak up and call out bad behavior. I want to share with you guys what happened a little bit, give you guys a bit more content and a bit of a timeline as to what happened, because I feel like if you watch just my story from the wedding to honeymoon to us moving in, it actually doesn't make sense, because we went from literally in the same episode, us getting married, to straight into the confessions box with the whole "my schlong doesn't coordinate with my head when I look at you" comment, to us moving in going, "Are you just not interested in me because I'm Asian?" Like, think about it, guys. That doesn't make any sense. So what people don't understand is we sign up for a show to be matched with an absolute stranger. We put trust into these experts. So the chances of you getting a wild card and to get someone that you wouldn't normally go for is quite high, right? But at the same time, that's what you're there for, to just give it a go, even just to get to know your person on a friendship level. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. You know what I mean? So, you know, when we went into this experiment, the whole cast, most of us were from interstate, and we were in lockdown. Sydney was in lockdown, and a lot of us had to quarantine for 2 weeks by ourselves. I mean, we all can relate, and we all know how shit that is, to be so isolated and alone. But then we're fed with all this, like, oh my God, but how exciting though, we're going to be matched with our significant other soon, and how exciting that is going to be. We're going to finally meet the one, yay. So to go from 2 weeks of not being able to talk to and have no human interaction, to meeting someone that I've been told and fed for months that he's the one, he's the man of your dreams, and we have searched far and wide for him. To be met with such cold, hostile behavior, I was a little bit taken back, because I'm like, you know, I wasn't expecting him to fall head over heels for me and be instantly attracted to me, any of that. But what I was like hoping for was for him to just get to know me on at least a friendship basis, because isn't that why we're there, to get to know each other? And what you guys don't see is there's hours, days, weeks in between what has been shown to you on the screen. So you can imagine, from my perspective, I've just met someone that doesn't even want to engage in simple conversation in anything, like, you know, just to get to know me on a normal basis, let alone give me eye contact. I mean, there was nothing, he was just not giving me anything. I mean, a lot of you can see, like, he just saw what he saw from the start, and I felt like he just rode me off. And, you know, it got to the point where I felt so invisible, so inadequate, and just so, like, not good enough, because he was interacting with every other person in the room who was white. And for me, it brought up a lot of stuff from my childhood of being bullied and being made invisible and being left out in the cold simply because I was different. It brought, and, you know, I feel like for anyone of color, if you have faced any form of prejudice, discrimination, or, you know, people judging you for your sexual preference or gender, or if you were born, or if you are unique, like, you know when someone's looking at you, or lack of looking at you in my case, and not giving you the time of day and treating you differently based off of something like what I've just mentioned. And in my case, it was, I was like, is this guy really, like, is he just not giving me the time of day because I'm Asian? Like, what's going on? He's just not giving me anything. So that's why I was like to my producer, I was in tears. I was like, I didn't come on to be ignored. I'm in a room full of so many people, and I've never felt so alone. Like, how messed up is that? And she said, Selena, you know what? Confessions Week is coming up soon. Let's unpack this, and why don't you ask him? Let's, like, ask him what's going on. And so I was like, because I was feeling this pain that I felt that was familiar to me growing up as a child, I was like, maybe, could it be that? Should I ask? Is it because I'm Asian? I'm like, oh, and again, how shit is it that I have to be like, question, like, oh, I don't know, should I even bring that up? Because, you know, it is a bit of a, like, almost like a taboo thing to bring up, like, especially in this day and age, like, are you treating me different? Are you ignoring me because I'm Asian? Is the lack of interest in engaging with me as a human being because of my skin color? Anyway, that is what prompted me to ask the hard-hitting question, to which I'm not even going to repeat it. You guys saw what happened. You can't make that shit up. It's so easy for people on the outside to say, he's not into Asians, that's not racist, rah, 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 rah. I'm not saying that any of that stuff is racist, because you can have your personal preference, we all do. And if he had said, Selena, I've never dated an Asian girl before, like, you know, you're not something I would usually go for, but I'm willing to give this a hot crack because that's what we're here for and that's what we signed up for, and we have trust in the process and in the experts' opinions of why they matched us. So let's give this a hot crack. That is not what happened. You guys saw it for what it was. Like, it was like he didn't get what he usually would go for, and I felt like he just wrote me off from the get-go. So to be ignored and to be made to feel invisible to the point where I had to ask, is it because I'm Asian? That is, if you look up in the dictionary, prejudice. A unfair dislike towards someone because of their skin color. And then it's discrimination when those feelings are then acted upon, which he did. When you choose to ignore someone and not associate yourself with someone because of their skin color, that is discrimination. Therefore, it is racist. Fuck. Is Cody a racist? No. But was the behavior leading up to that question racist? In my eyes and how I was made to feel, yes, it was. However, it took up until me asking that question for Cody to open up his eyes and for him to realize, far out, I should not have used those words. I didn't realize how hurtful those words were. And you know what? My behavior and my attitude towards her and this whole experiment has been really off, and it's poor. I shouldn't be ignoring this poor girl because she's not something I'm used to. Then that's why we had a massive flip in our relationship, hence why we moved on and ended off the season together. I mean, it didn't work out, but even he knew what he was doing was so wrong. So that's why it's like so infuriating that this article has really brought all that stuff to light, and he's still arguing that what he did and said wasn't racist. It wasn't just what was said, it was the actions behind the words that is racist. So it's not about whether or not you believe your actions and words were racist or not. If the other person on the other end of the spectrum has taken it that way and they are deeply hurt by your actions and words, then it is, okay, period. If you haven't gone through any form of adversity in relation to being made to feel that way, then you won't know and understand this pain that we're trying to explain to you. So you can't dismiss what we're feeling, and we shouldn't be made to feel constantly that we can't express ourselves and our pain because we're going to be met every single time with this stupid argument. Sorry, I really needed to get that out there. It's been too long, guys. Thank you to everyone that has stayed and listened up until this point. I really needed to get that off my chest and lay it to rest once and for all. I think for me growing up, I didn't have any Asian representatives or mentors or idols that I looked up to, that I saw on the big screen, that I could relate to, that has shared my suffering and pain, that spoke out on all of these issues. And is this the reason why? Because every single time we do talk about this stuff, it gets freaking censored and cancelled. So you know what? I would rather be cancelled and people not want to associate themselves with me because I stood up for something that I feel so passionately about, rather than staying silent and not saying anything at all, especially now that I feel like I have such a big responsibility to speak out on this stuff now that I do have a platform. Like, I want to make a difference, and I want that little girl that's sitting in her room that feels like me, that is going to see me and be like, oh wow, like she looks like me, mummy, and she shares the same pain and suffering, and look, she had the bravery and courage to speak up and stand up for herself and take her power back. And hopefully that will if I make a difference to that one girl, that would just, like, I can die a happy woman. growing up, I didn't even have a superhero that looked like me. It's only now that it's 2022, Marvel have released their first Asian superhero that has had their own storyline and movie based on them. That's pretty messed up. Like the fact that I didn't even have a superhero or doll to play with that looked like me. And, you know, it was a laughing joke in our family whenever an Asian or a black person was casted in a movie that, oh, I wonder which one's going to die first. Do you know how damaging that is for a child to think that way? Like, what are we putting out there to society that we are less than? Because if we're constantly watching that and believing in and being conditioned in that as society, like, that's not cool. Of course, people are going to grow up and casual racism is always just going to be a thing if we don't start talking about this stuff and start building awareness and building a movement around this. So I hope that everyone listening to me can, you know, just be compassionate if you don't understand what I'm still trying to say. I honestly haven't slept since Thursday, since I knew this article was going to come out, because I really wanted to do this justice and speak from the heart and be as raw and real with you guys. And I hope that it will come across the way that I hope it will, and hopefully make a difference. So thank you so much for listening, guys. I'm sorry for this long rant. I have so much love for you guys, and yeah, please like, subscribe and share. And I love you guys. Bye.